Hello, and welcome to part 3 of how to implement an IT security program. If you've ever had a computer rebuilt, you know the pain and frustration when you get it back. Nothing seems to be the same. Things are not in the same place. Same thing with servers. Computers and servers all have some type of a personality. They have their own DNA. And it's important to understand that when selecting a backup solution. There's two basic type of backup solutions. One is a file-based solution. The other one is an image-based solution. In a file-based backup solution, you are only backing up the files that are on the computer. You're not backing up the operating system. You're not backing up the applications. It's just the files. The advantage of a file-based backup solution is the files are very, very quickly accessible, and you could recover a corrupt or deleted file immediately. The problem with file-based backup solutions, as I mentioned, you don't have all the programs and the operating system backed up. So if you have a computer failure, or a server failure, even more important, you have to get the new hardware in, you have to install the operating system, then you have to go through the trial and tribulations of patching the operating system. Once it's patched, then you can install applications, then you patch and update the applications. And once the applications are installed, now you can put your files on the server, and now you can get back to work. The challenge with this is a typical recovery of a failed server with a file-based backup solution could take you 3, 5, 6 days to recover from. Not very good if you're a business that depends on that piece of equipment to get production work done. Hence, we have an image-based backup solution. Image-based backup solutions, just like it sounds, takes a complete image of the server. It has the operating system, it has all the applications, all the patches. You have an image that is typically 15 minutes old from when the server crashed. The nice thing, there's two things you can do with that image. One of the very nice things you could do is if you have multiple servers in your environment and you're running what's called a virtual environment, we can take that backup image, recover it as a virtual machine on another physical server, and that server's up and running, and whatever resources are needed that were on the failed server are now available on a virtual machine. You may be running in some diminished capacity, but at least you have access to all your data. When we talk about backups, the other thing we have to talk about is local backups and remote backups. Local backups are great for having a long retention period. If you want to keep a year's worth of data, several years worth of data of your server, storage is relatively inexpensive, and it's great to keep that on a local backup. Local backups also let you recover, similar to the file-based, very, very quickly. The disadvantage to having a local-based solution is if something happens to the server, there's a chance that something might have also happened to the backup, especially if they're in the same room. We usually recommend putting them in different rooms, but then we still have the building. The backup is still kept within close proximity to the server. So if something catastrophic happens to the building, the server, the room, there's a good chance you may lose the backup as well as the server, and then you have an issue. The other option is remote backup, oftentimes called cloud backup. The advantages of a cloud backup, similar to a local backup, you can recover single files. It's a little bit more complex, but it's still doable. And a huge advantage is that remote backup can actually be spun up as a virtual machine in the cloud, and remote access can be set up for your organization to be accessing the failed server in a cloud type model. So if you had the local backup and the local server failed, all that can be set aside and everything can be spun up in the cloud, and you're up and running until new equipment comes in. Even if you have a site failure and you can't get to the facility, it's possible to spin that remote backup in the cloud. So from a business continuity perspective, that's huge. That's an option. That's not by default. Spinning a virtual machine up in the cloud takes a lot of planning and preparation, but can be done. Disadvantages of the cloud backup. Number one, it does cost more. And because it costs more, you really want to think about what you want to back up into the cloud. We talked about keeping a high retention on local backups. That's because memory and storage is cheap. There's a premium for memory and storage in cloud backups. So you just want to keep a couple of days. You want to be able to recover from a catastrophic failure. If you don't have access to the local, you want to have access to the remote to get the business up and running. Another disadvantage, if you need the entire image to recover to an on-site server, that image is big. It takes a long time to get an image downloaded from the cloud if necessary. And as an alternative to that, depending on how big the image is, the cloud partners that we work with will actually overnight us an image as a backup. Depending on the client's needs, oftentimes we'll recommend having both local and a remote cloud backup for a solution. Understanding backups can be a complex process. If you'd like to learn more or think you'd like some help in figuring out what kind of a backup solution might be right for your company, please reach out and give us a call. I look forward to talking to you.